Hey, what's up guys? It's Elaine Michelle, part of the Budget Misses. We are going to be on tour. We're going to Houston, that's right. Houston, Texas, stand up. The Budget Misses are coming to Houston and it's about to go down. Go big or go home. So if you guys are interested in coming to see the Budget Misses and just getting a chance to learn some things, hands-on experiences, we would love to have you there. The date is July the 6th and we will have the location, all that stuff. It's all on our website. Just go check it out. For real. Sign up. You can do it. Come check us out. Hey, what's up besties? It's Elaine Michelle and I'm back with episode 2 of Teen Talk. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about our credit cards and how to manage them, how to handle them, what you should do, that type of thing. So if you're interested, then make sure you stay tuned and don't forget to check out Shay's video right after you get done watching mine. Alright, so my credit card story is a little bit different. I laugh at myself all the time because I knew that they were after me. Okay, so it was coming for your girl. Like, I knew that the credit card companies were going to come for me because I'd always heard about when you get in college, they're going to start sending you credit card stuff. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I can handle it. I can manage it. I went off to school. I didn't need a credit card. I had my debit card. I was good. And all of a sudden, I was sitting in my dorm room and we get a call. Okay, I'm like, who's calling the dorm? First of all, you know, only a couple of boos had the dorm room number, and that was in case of emergency, but everybody else was calling that LG chocolate. That's how old I am. Anyway, so I was like, okay, who calling the room? So I answered the phone and like, hi, we're looking for Michelle, and we have a deal for you. I'm like, ain't no deal, shawty. Ain't no deal. So it was like, you can get this, and this, and you'll be approved already for $500. I was like, $500 off the rip? Okay. That's $500 I didn't have. At this time, I did not understand how credit worked, okay? So I'm like, $500 seems like a great idea. I'll be able, let me tell you the way that they sold me. They sold me on that I would be able to pay for my spring break, okay? So whatever spring break I was looking forward to having, I could pay for it. I was like, $500? This gonna help with my spring break stuff. I wasn't planning on going to spring break prior to this, but it sounded real good to me then. So I'm like, this is a good idea. So they go on and they get my information. They tell me about all these different specials that they have, different things that I can sign up for, and I will be good, okay? Baby girl didn't ask no questions. I didn't ask about an APR or what is the annual fee or any of that stuff. I just went with them. And this was First Premier Bank. So I don't know if you guys have ever had any experience with First Premier Bank, but I would definitely tell you guys, do not. Like, absolutely do not go with them, okay? So First Premier Bank came along and I got that credit card. And at this time, Blockbuster, before there was a Netflix service that was bringing you stuff, right? Blockbuster had tried doing this thing where they would send you some in the mail and then you would send them back, okay? So I had that and I was excited because I could put it on my credit card. So I did that, and then I started charging different things and more things got charged, and I was like, I wonder where these bills going. So all of a sudden I got a bill and I was like, oh, okay. So I told my boyfriend at the time and he paid it off. You know, he was like, here, you don't know nothing about it. Here, pay it off and then don't use it anymore. Okay, boo. You did it for me once, I know you'll do it again. So I'll use that as like my emergency. Mind you, I didn't even tell my parents this. Now, a little bit of back history about me. In college, I worked 3 tree jobs. And I did that because I didn't really want to burden my parents. So I was working at the library for the education library. I was working at the bookstore, and then I also was a mentor at the same time. Now, in between that, I was also working at McDonald's and I worked at Arby's. So that tells you your girl was always on her hustle and trying to get this coins. I was always on my hustle and trying to get coins. So I had money, but I wanted to use my money for other stuff. My refund came, I would pay off all of everything that I need to pay off. But listen, I needed that extra coin in my pocket. I like to shop, I like nice things. That hasn't, I guess that hasn't really changed much. So when that credit card came in, I was using that and I would just use it randomly and then I'd have him pay it off, whatever, wasn't thinking about it. So then I messed around and I got a Macy's card. Because Macy's at the time was like our biggest place in Bloomington that you could have and go and get the nicest of the nicest things. So I needed a Macy's card, right? Well, my credit limit on the Macy's card was only, I want to say it had to been close to, might have been 500, but I really believe it was like 250 or something like that. And y'all, I thought I was in the money, baby. I was going there. I had got me a new comforter set, baby. I was shopping for my boo thing. He was getting laced out because that's where Polo was. So, you know, I get paid, go get a little Polo, put it on the car. Then I messed around and I was working at Macy's, but that's a whole nother. So this was at the end of my freshman year. I was living in a dorm. By the time I got done, I came back to school. I was living in an apartment. So circa about October-ish, I started getting these phone calls. I'm like, why am I getting phone calls, right? Like, who are y'all? I don't owe anybody. I started getting these phone calls and they were like, hey, you need to pay us, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what I need to pay y'all for? Come to find out, it was Macy's. Macy's had been sending my bill to my dorm room because that's where I signed up as. I didn't use my permanent address back home so that everything could get forwarded. I used my dorm address. So, of course, when you move out of your dorm, if you don't tell them where you're living at, then they don't forward your mail. So, and they might have forwarded and I don't know. Whatever. So at this point, I'm all the way, my credit limit is maxed out. I owe all of this money and I don't know where I'm going to get it from. So I was like, okay, cool. When I get my little next refund check, I'm going to pay it off and I'm going to close the account. So I had made up my mind that's what I was going to do. One day I got on the phone and they called me and the lady was like, you owe this money, like she was foreign, and I honestly couldn't understand her. And I think our lack of understanding each other was frustrating each other. And so we began to get into a heated battle about this money I owed them. Now me at this time, I was like, I ain't finna pay you. I ain't got the money. I ain't doing it. So what you want to do? Like, what we doing here? So long story short, by the time I got done with that, I closed the account. I got off the phone and said, well, just close the account. I had no idea that closing the account would affect me this much at all. So I closed the account and I thought I was done with it. Okay, you close the account, you don't owe no more. Like, I ain't trying to use them, right? I don't owe anything. Nope. Baby girl owed a whole bunch of money. I owe that money. So when I got my refund, I still did not pay them because I didn't, like, I closed my account, so I didn't pay them. I went on to something else. So those are my first two credit cards that I got that I didn't have to get. I just got them because I wanted to get something and I didn't understand credit. And because I didn't understand credit, when I got to the point where I needed to start applying for things that needed credit, which leads into that whole student loan thing of me having to apply for things on my own, I began to get interested in what my credit score was. So I was working somewhere that had to run a background check and they ran your credit too. And it came back and it was like, okay, you have this, this, and this on your credit, so we're unable to get you the card that you need to work at this particular place, because where I was trying to work, I would need a card to do it. So they still let me get hired on because of whatever. I just wasn't able to fully do my job because I didn't have the power to pay for things the way that they needed me to. So anyways, that's when I started getting interested into my credit score and all of this stuff. I found out there was a hospital bill that I did, I want to say my freshman year, that I hadn't paid. I was on my parents' insurance. I thought, all this stuff, and it just made sense to me. So long story short, I told you all of that to say a lot of things that we do because we're impulsive, because we're not thinking, or because it looks good. It may feel good. It may be one of those things that you're like, oh, I love this, and I need this, and you really don't need it. So there are some things about credit you really need to understand. You need to understand your annual percentage rate. Like, you have got to understand that, because I didn't understand that until 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago is when I started understanding what that meant and how that would affect me as far as me using credit and borrowing credit. Because circa about maybe 10 years after that, I wanted to do Mary Kay. And so with Mary Kay, you buy the products up front and then you make your money back, you recoup it through your inventory. So I was talked into, I wouldn't even say I was talked into, I was coached into getting a Capital One credit card. And the Capital One credit card was for $2,000. So I was like, $2,000, this would be awesome. I can get all the inventory that I want to get, and boom, okay? But I didn't look at any annual percentage rates. Like, I didn't look at that at all to see what I would actually be paying against this money if I do not pay it back in a certain amount of time. And so my annual percentage rate for that credit card was 24%. And I was like, when I started looking at it now, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? Even when I got my car, I didn't even look into that. Like, I didn't look into all of these things that are important for how you're paying your money back. So you can borrow as much, like they'll let you borrow all the money that you want to. And by borrow, I mean they'll put it on credit. You can put whatever you want to on credit if they'll approve you for it. But when you pay it back, you're paying back those fees. So there were annual fees that I had to pay. That interest rate was high, okay? And I'm sitting here like, what in the world? So I got all this stuff, and then I decided, nope, I'm not doing Mary Kay. I don't want to spend this money on here. I want to use it for something else. And I just got in a rotation. I used it, I maxed it out. I used it, I maxed it out. I used it, maxed it out all the time. And I was making the minimum payments on my credit card. The worst thing you can do is make minimum payments on a card that is maxed out, because you will never get anywhere. And then when I would get like a bonus check or whatever, I would put like a little bit more. So instead of 25, I'm gonna put 50. And then I would turn around and I would just use that $50 for whatever I felt like I needed to use it for. So it's just a continuous cycle. So what I'm telling you guys, I hope I'm explaining myself so you understand where I came from. Your girl had issues, okay? I didn't understand credit cards at all. So in essence, what you should do, you need to find out if you do need to get a credit card. Because we do need credit cards to establish credit. But there are a couple of different credit cards that you can get that can help you do the same thing that a regular credit card will do. Look into a secured credit card. Now what those do, they allow you to put the money basically up front. So you front your own credit. And then you use that card. They report it to all three bureaus. You want to make sure they're reporting it to the credit industry, because if they're not, that's a waste of time anyways. So with the secured card, you pay the money up front, you use it as credit, blah, blah, blah. And then after so long, they usually end up giving you your deposit back of some sort. And then you just have a line of credit open. Most banks have one of those. I know I was with Bank of America at the time, and they had one. So you can find these different places that have the secured card, and that is a great way to start establishing your credit. So for those parents who are watching, if you're thinking about trying to get your kid a credit card, definitely get a secured one versus getting one that's open credit and just whatever. And this is going to teach them responsibility and help them to build their credit responsibly, because there's not this big long because I know if I see $2,000 and it's a nice little something I want to get, I'm gonna go grab it in school and I'll be like, oh, I'll just pay it later, or I'll do it before mama knows see it, or I'll accept the consequences later. I want to do this. But if you put a small amount on there, it's building their credit. It's not a whole lot of stress on you or them, and you're not worried too much about those, like I said, those impulse buys, because you know that this is strictly for emergencies. A gas card is fine. Get a gas card. Get something that will help establish your credit. What you don't want to do is start out at 18 with terrible credit, because you'll be working backwards for very, very long time. For a very, very long time. People talk about it's quick to raise your credit score, but just as quick as it is to raise your credit score, it's even quicker to kill it. And what you don't want to do is get out of college, you're trying to get your apartment, you're trying to get this, you're trying to, jobs are running credit checks and things with their background checks now. You're trying to do all of this stuff and you can't even do it because you've already messed up your credit. So side note to parents, while you're doing these things and getting these cards in your kids' names, please be responsible. If you have them on as a user, because you can do that as well, you can add them as a user so that their credit starts getting built with yours. Remember, you are responsible for them. So while you're not paying your bill, you're also not paying theirs. So when your credit is messed up, it's messing up theirs. One of the biggest things that I learned about that, and I've learned that since being an adult by having a card with my boyfriend. Yes, I'm just as honest and blank. I will never do that again. And I probably won't even do that with my husband. He'll have to put me on his, and I don't know. I don't know, boo. I don't know. But we got on each other's credit cards, and thinking that we were just getting it just to have access to it. But what it does, it put him on there, and it started tracking with his credit, and then I put him on mine and I was tracking with my credit. So now we're both tracking. Well, Shell was doing this over here and I'm still paying bills and doing all of this stuff over here and getting my life together. But if baby boy not paying his stuff, then here I am once again, back with my credit score getting affected by someone else's things. So don't ever put someone on your stuff if you're not willing to accept what's gonna come with that. And that means don't ever ask to be on someone's stuff either. Like, if you know your mama is not good at paying her bills, don't get on her credit card. Say, Mom, I'm good. I don't want that. I want to get on my own. We could do the secure thing over here. If you know that your credit score and all that stuff ain't that good, maybe you're trying to reestablish your credit, let your kids live, because you don't want to be responsible for how they have to deal with things in the long run. I'm just saying. So what we talking about today, we're not getting credit cards out the mail, okay? We don't need them. We're gonna find other ways to do it. What I'm saying, if you have $100 to $200 and you're just trying to establish your credit, get a secured credit card. That is like the best option I can recommend for getting something that is not going to seriously affect your coin. So secured. When we talk about securing the bag, you have to secure it on your own, okay? And if you do that, you'll think about it twice before you start spending. So that's something important. Make sure if you do decide that you need a credit card, you have to have one, make sure you're checking your annual percentage rates. That's your interest rates that you're gonna have to pay. Like, you have got to check into that. You do not want to be paying $80 for a $2 burger. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And you need to make sure that you're checking what your fees are. When are those fees being charged? Because I found a lot of times I would be maxed out only because of the fees. Sometimes if you pay things off within 30 days, those don't hit you. Just depends on what type of card you have. Do your research on your credit card. Don't just go with the first one that you see. Check into it. If you have a bank or a credit union, those people tend to care a little bit more about you, because they have to care about you because it's their coin that's really being affected in those like credit unions and banks and stuff. So you definitely probably would be a good idea to go talk to a financial counselor at one of your banks and ask them, like, what is the best card for me? There are also some websites you can use as well that will tell you, you know, like where you are and what cards would be a good enough card for you. Just try to stay away from those ones that give you low, let me see. Try to stay away from the ones that look a little shaky, okay? If they look a little iffy, go with a bank that you can trust, that people have said multiple times. When people do things, when they say, oh, we take people with no credit, bad credit, all kinds of credit, stay away from them people, because they just want your money and their interest rates are going to be high as all get out, okay? Stay away from those. I probably talked y'all to death. I done told y'all everything, but I like to give a little background as to where I came from and where I'm at now. And so now I have the cards that I use for emergencies. I have not closed any of my credit card accounts. So when I need to go do something like traveling or something like that, I'll put my plane ticket on there, and then that's my thing that I pay back off at the end of the month, and then it just cycles back over and it's paid off and it looks like I'm using my credit wisely. And that's how you do it. Oh, I didn't talk about being credit wise. So if you are spending, let's talk about that before I get off of here. So if you are spending the money on your credit card, there are cycles. Make sure you're paying your bill within those cycles so that it's reporting to the credit bureaus and you're able to get that credit worthiness. That debt to income ratio is serious, and if you have a high amount due on your credit cards, they are not going to give you anything else, okay? You'll be stuck in a situation. Student loans, and then you got credit cards. Those are the two things right there that'll have you caught up, okay? And you don't want to do that. So one of the best things that I learned to do, you don't have to close your accounts after you pay them off. If you're trying to get some sort of, like if you're trying to get a house, get a car, whatever it is, don't close your accounts, leave them open, do small charges and pay it right back off. As soon as you use it, by the end of the month, once it cycles through, I always say wait till it cycles through so that it can catch that you used your card, and then in the next month it'll catch that you paid it off during the cycle. So you just want to make sure that you're paying attention to your cycles as well, so that you can pay whatever you need to pay on it, and it goes towards your credit. Towards your credit score. So that's important. Make sure you're checking those cycles and pay your bills on time. If it's a minimum payment, is all you can make, pay it. Talk to them. They want to work with you to get their money. Say that again. They want to work with you to get their money, okay? They want their money. They don't want to send you to the collections office because they know they're not going to get their money like that. They're going to get partial money, and versus you trying to call and tell them, hey, let me also say this. Don't wait until 2 days before your paycheck to be like, you know what, I'm probably not going to have this. Because more than likely, you probably didn't have it anyways. If you're doing your budget at the beginning of the month, things come up. If you start to do your budget and you realize that, then you're like, okay, I need to call them and tell them I'm not going to have it this time. And what can I do to make up for it? I have $5. Can I put this towards there? I want to put something on there. Whatever you do, make sure you stay in contact with them. If you lose your job, if you decide to go back to school, you need to do whatever, stay in contact with your creditors. Like, that's so important, because at the end of the day, they want their money and they're gonna get it however they want to get it. Okay, so that's all the advice I have about credit cards. Make sure you guys go look that up. There are tons and tons of resources on picking and choosing credit cards and how you can make the best choice for you. What works for me may not have worked for you, but the principles are still the same. Credit is literally yours to manage. You have to manage the credit. You can't just go off of saying I got a credit card and that be the end all be all. You need to be knowledgeable so that you can be better for your future. There's nothing wrong with having a credit card if you use it responsibly, okay? That's all I got to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Check out Shay's video as well, and I will catch you in the next one. Mwah! KK, bye!